Hello and welcome to our last day. Today is day 5 of our 8th grade lesson plan. I'm Miss Guerin and I'm really looking forward to working on this last lesson with you. Please go ahead and get out a piece of paper and something to write with as I present my screen. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm not on my first page. So like I promised yesterday, we're going to be working in our anchor text for 8th grade, Brown Girl Dreaming. As I told you, one of my favorite novels, it's a novel in free verse. So it's very different because it's written in a poetic form, but it has the style of a novel. And we're going to be determining an author's use of theme in Brown Girl Dreaming. So today I promised a picture, and what I want you to do is I want you to look at this picture and think about what you think the message or the theme that the picture is teaching us. So take a minute and look at the picture and think about what a theme would be. So one theme that I think of when I see this picture is perseverance. And perseverance is when things are really hard, you are able to still make it work, or you're able to continue to keep going. I absolutely loved this picture when I found it because you have this really dark you have this concrete sidewalk, or it looks like it's definitely outside. We know that, but it looks like a sidewalk. And in the middle of this sidewalk, through the crack, this beautiful flower has been able to grow. And not only has it been able to grow, but it's been able to thrive. It looks absolutely beautiful. And so there are a few meanings that you could find just within this one picture, like I've stated before. So one could be perseverance, overcoming obstacles. One could be that even when you think that things are down or out, there's always an ability to see something positive or growth. One of the themes could be growth or regrowth. So you have a few kind of ideas here of what could be an overall theme for this picture. All right, good job. Let's keep going. So last time, I know that this has been the same, but these are our objectives for the week. I'm not going to read them again. Today, we're just going to focus on the development of theme. We have done connotation and denotation almost every day, and so we're just going to focus on theme for today's lesson. Now, for the next slide, forgot. Learning target first. So, learning target. What are we going to do today in our lesson? It says we are going to read an excerpt from Brown Girl Dreaming, identify a theme through the characters and setting details, and write a reflection on the reading. And I think we're going to add one more. Forgot to add action. We're going to also identify it through the action of the short excerpt. So what I would like for you to do is you are going to draw your own chart on your own paper. So I have 3 rows and 4 columns. And you are going to make yours just like this one. And actually, you could just make it this second row is just for extra information if you find it. If you find enough information just to fill in 1 box for character details, 1 for setting, 1 for action, and then your theme, that's okay too. But I just wanted to add an extra row just in case you found more details. Now remember, if you find a detail or you find a quote from the excerpt, Remember that direct quotes from the text always help support what you're saying. Remember that question we did yesterday where we were given quotes from the story and we had to find the 2 quotes that best determined how to answer the question, and it was about theme, and that's exactly what we want to do here. And so it's okay to have 1 or 2 quotes in one of these boxes to help you determine what the theme is for this excerpt of Brown Girl Dreaming. So I want you to take a minute, and you may pause the video so that you can make your own chart, and you can color it. You can be as creative as you want, or you can just make it just as simple as like how I have it, however you want to do it. So take a minute and make your chart so that you're ready for the next step. Okay, after you've taken a minute and you have made your chart, let's go on to the next activity because you need this chart in front of you in order to practice. Now, what is a memoir? Because Brown Girl Dreaming is a memoir. Does anyone know what a memoir is before I share the definition? If you do, go ahead and say it out loud. A memoir is just a really fancy word for an autobiography. So I have 2 definitions that I'm going to give you. Remember that that's the thing about definitions, that you can always find different meanings for words. And this is the meaning is not doesn't change, but it's just 2 different perspectives on one definition. So one definition I found said it's a historical account or a biography written from personal knowledge. So it has to have a personal aspect to it in order for it to be a memoir. Even if it's written in a biography, someone else writes about someone's life, they still have to have the person's actual perspective or account of what happened. Another definition that I found says an account of one's personal life and experiences or an autobiography. I really like this second definition better than the first, and that's why sometimes it's always good to look for more than one definition of a word to help you really figure out what the meaning of the word is. So I'm going to read that again to you. A memoir is an account of one's personal life and experiences and autobiography. So now we know that Brown Girl Dreaming is a memoir. It is a personal account of Jacqueline Woodson's life. And it's actually about her childhood. It starts in her childhood. And it's all very personal to her because it's her life. So it would be, if you wrote your own memoir, it would be that you would write up until the point of how old you are, you would write what your life has been like. That is what a memoir is. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our excerpt. And I just picked the first chapter. And I wanted to show you that the book starts in parts. And the first part is called I Am Born. Now, just to take a minute, and this doesn't have to do with theme, this has to do with structure. But what I really like about Jacqueline's style is that she has a grammar error here. Can you tell me what it is? Actually, she has 2 grammar errors. She has 2 grammar errors. What are they? Okay. She has a lowercase I instead of a capital I, and we know that I is always capitalized. And then she doesn't have a period at the end of her sentence. Guess what, students? When you write a novel, you can pick any kind of style that you want. And what I like about this personal style of hers is that she just has everything lowercase like that. Just for example, when we scroll down and see the date of this first chapter, she doesn't capitalize February. Now, we know that in formal writing, that would not be okay. But in her own memoir, she can do what she wants with grammar. And she's decided that she doesn't want to capitalize in her titles. And I think that that's just a really cool style. And so I just wanted to point that out to you, that that is an author's choice of structure, that she chose to do that because she wanted it to be different. And it's not wrong because it's her story, so she can do it how she wants. All right, so this is part 1, I Am Born. So obviously by the title, we know that she's going to tell us about her birth. And then we're given the date. So we see that she was born in 1963. Dates are always important, students, because dates tell us about the history or what was happening when she was born. Now we look at the first sentence and we find that she was born in Columbus, Ohio, USA. So she makes it very clear she was born in the United States of America in 1963. Can anybody take a minute and tell me what was happening in the United States of America during 1963? Does anybody have an idea? Or what was happening in the 60s overall in the United States? Take a minute and you can either say it out loud or say it to yourself. What was happening in the 60s was the civil rights movement and just overall unrest all across this country when it comes to racial inequality. So what she's going to start telling you is about this inequality, because Jacqueline Woodson is an African-American woman, and she wants to be very clear about what she experienced or about the experiences that her parents had when she was born. So that's just to give you a little bit of a background or context about what we're about to read. Now, I just wanted to give you the title and the name of the part of the story. And that's where I'm gonna stop there, because what I want you to do is I've provided, it's just 1.5 pages. And I hope you can see that even though it looks like it is written in a novel, like it looks like an actual novel, but it's not written in the style of a novel. It's written in the style of poetic verse. It's written in free verse. So it's written in a poetic form. I want you to take a minute and I want you to read to yourself this page and the next page. So it's just 2 short pages. I want you to pause and I want you to read this to yourself. And again, I want to remind you that if you need a copy of this excerpt, you can go to where all of my lessons have been linked for this week. You can go and click on this link for a copy of this reading so that you can see it. I will zoom out a little bit just so you can see more of it. But go ahead and pause your video and take a minute and read or reread. If you want to read twice, that would be great for this story. Okay, so I'm going to pretend like you paused and you read this well. Now, there's going to be a difference today, children. I'm not going to provide the theme for you. I want you to provide the theme for me. If you need help, and I see there are a couple of themes. Remember that there's always several messages. Even in just such a short little passage like this, there are several messages that the writer, the author, Jacqueline Woodson, is trying to teach us or to tell us. And she has such a deep and powerful message that she is trying to teach us. It's in every word that she writes. So if you need help figuring out what the theme is, get a parent or guardian or older sibling to help you out. Or if you have another 8th grade friend that has been doing the lessons this week with us, call them or Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, call them and see if you can figure out the theme together. But I'm not going to provide it for you because I want you to be able to do it for yourself. Now, as you are reading, because you're going to pause the video again, I want to remind you that as you are reading, you're going to fill out your chart. What the character details, setting details, and action details. Now, if we look at this, the setting, she provided the setting for us right in the beginning. She gives us 2 pieces of information for the setting. What are they? All right, she gives us the date, which was February, and I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but February, I think it was 12th, 1963. So you could put that in one box. And then she tells us the place. She even tells us the hospital. She tells us that she was born in Ohio. And again, I cannot remember the city off the top of my head. I don't have it in front of me. But she was born in Ohio, USA. So those are your two setting details. Action. So now you would go back into your excerpt and you would need to find character details and action details. So as far as character details, see, oh, here it is, Columbus, Ohio. She says University Hospital. There's your setting. And here's your date. I was right, February 12th, 1963. So both of those pieces are setting. You've got your setting. You're good to go. And you could even use a direct quote by saying, I am born. You could just put that quote with the USA in it. One of my favorite pieces is how she writes a country caught between black and white. So she's showing you this struggle in race, which was what the 60s had so much at the forefront in this country. Now, she goes into her ancestors, her great-great-grandparents in this second paragraph, and she talks about slavery. She doesn't actually say the word slavery, but she does say here, they worked the deep, rich land unfree, dawn till dusk, unpaid. Again, the beautiful way that she writes her message is so crystal clear. So she has this repetition of the word unfree, unpaid. This would also be a great quote. From here down to here would be a great quote to put for action. There are plenty of other good quotes in here about action. Now, when she uses the word I, that's when she's talking about herself. So you would need to be looking for character details and see, how do we know, what do we know? Well, we know she's African American. We know she is a girl because we know that because her name is Jacqueline Woodson and she's a woman. All right, but what other character details could we put? I want you to see if you can figure that out. So after you have filled out that chart, the last part is based on the setting, based on the character, and based on the action, how did those details from setting, character, and action, how did it help you determine one of the themes from this passage? That's what you fill out at the end. So I'm going to get you to pause the video again, just in case you need more time to fill in your boxes. Remember, fill in with quotes, okay? Share. If you need help making sure your chart's right, get with a buddy to check and do that work together. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, so we're going to come back over here. And remember, so you got your chart filled out. After you've paused, you've got your chart filled out. You've determined at least one theme, and then you're going to come to the next activity. And yes, the next activity, sorry. And the next activity is a writing activity. And I know you're not excited probably. I bet some of you are that like to write. I always liked to write, but that's because I always loved reading and writing. I'm an English teacher. I'm an English major, so that makes sense. Math was not my strong suit. But anyway, all I'm asking for is 1 to 2 paragraphs, and I want you to answer these questions for me. What is the theme that you discovered? And how did the character's setting and action details help you identify the theme? So I want you to use the characters, setting, and action details to help you identify the theme. So first you've got to find, what is the theme? What is the theme that you found? How did you find, and then the second part is, how did you find it? And if you can do that in 1 paragraph, that's great. If you've got a direct quote, remember, if you took a quote from the story, put quotation marks around it, okay? So that you give credit to the story. I would love to see 1 to 2 quotes in your paragraph or 2 paragraphs. Because remember, it's always good to have evidence from the story or from the text to support what you're saying. Just put quotes around them, and that's okay. All right, so this is your writing activity. Now, you're going to pause the video, or maybe you'll stop the video for this piece. You can write down what the questions are here so that you have them on a piece of paper, and then you're going to write up your response. What I'd like for you to do, take a minute, pause. If you need to write all this down, I'm okay with that. Just pause, but I'm going to keep on going. But if you need more time, that's fine. This is our last day. This is our last slide. And what I have here are a few things. If you want me, Miss Guerin, to check your writing for you, I would love, love, love for you to email me your writing. If you type it, you type it. You can send it to me. If you don't type it, that's fine. You can handwrite it on a piece of paper and get someone at your home to take a picture of it, and they can email it to me as an attachment. But I would love to see the work that you've done. And if you would like for me to look at it and give you some feedback, I would love to do that as well. So my email's at the bottom, vguerin@rvaschools.net. And I cannot wait to get some of your paragraphs and see what kind of work that you did. At the top, I have linked a video of Jacqueline Woodson reading from her book. Now, she is reading from a different part of Brown Girl Dreaming, not from the part that we just went over. So you can just, at your own leisure, look at that link, click on that link, and I'll have it also on the RPS at home under for today's lesson. I will have it available so that you can look at it. But just take a minute and so that you can see it from the author herself. I hope that you have enjoyed learning with me this week. I have really enjoyed learning with you. Please feel free to contact me with any questions or concerns, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you so much.